This season's been all about turning fears into clients. So there's a lot of focus on sales, approach, the mindset, the imposter syndrome, how to deal with scripts. Do you need a script? Do you need training? I mean, there's a lot of different ways I poked at this. But what I want to do for the remainder of this season, I believe 5 more episodes perhaps, I want to focus on tactical things that you can do to improve the likelihood of you making better sales, making life easier for yourself, and also finding ways to do action items that help increase your visibility, focus more on what makes your offer better than other offers for your ideal target client. My goal in each of these remaining episodes for this season is going to help you really shake the tree and make sure that what you're doing from a sales perspective and making an offer to your clients or your prospects, something that is a lot easier to do and just makes the overall work associated with growing your business and building relationships in your network super easy. Let's go ahead and give it a listen. Welcome to My Solopreneur Life. I'm Terry Pappy, your gracious host, and I am so glad you're here. I have a wonderful episode for you. Sit back, relax, and let's have some real talk about what it is to be a solopreneur. The first thing that I want to do, which is all internal, meaning this is inside the house, so it has everything to do with how you're communicating about who you are, what your solution is, and how to engage. On my website, on the podcast landing page for My Solopreneur Life. So if you go to mysolopreneurlife.com, you'll go to this page. On the page, I have some freebie downloads. There's one download in particular that I want you to get if you haven't already, and it is my checkbox guide to making your website a super high performer when it comes to conversions. Now, does this imply that you have to do all these funnels and automations and things like that? Not really. It's more about communicating on your website in a way that ensures any prospect that is coming to your website understands super clearly who you are, what you do, and what problem that you solve. Anybody coming to your site, regardless of how they got there, whether it was from something you posted, somebody sent them, a search, who knows? However they got to your site, they should know right away, the second they get to your landing page, your homepage, they know exactly if you're going to be able to help them with their problem. And the way you do that is you have to be clear about that main message that's above the fold, that's the first thing they see. And it should have the structure of, we help X type of people or companies solve Y type of problem so they can Z achieve their goals faster or whatever that is. That's how you need to structure that one-liner or opening statement. You need them to be attracting the right type of client. So you have to say, we do this for plumbers located in this region. We do this for solopreneurs who are seeking an easier time with their bookkeeping. We do this for attorneys who can't find the right recruit to be their assistants. Whatever the case may be, whatever the business you have, whatever that service is, you have to describe it in a way that solves the problem of your target client. If that's on the top front center, that's your welcome mat, that will get rid of anybody who is not that type of person, and it will attract and make the right type of target client that you're looking for lean in. Let me kind of step aside here for a second. The reason why I dove right into this is because I want this to be a very tactical wrap up to this season on sales. It's one thing to kind of like talk about sales and here's this approach or here's this attitude or here's how you can avoid or reframe your fears, talk about the client, not yourself. The conversation I had with Navi Body was amazing. And if you haven't listened to it, please go back to the prior 2 episodes and listen to that 2-part episode. Really, really good stuff. But it's time to get out of the stands and onto the court and get some stuff done. I love being practical in some of these episodes, give you something to do so you feel accomplished. You feel like you're making the right moves in the right direction. And you have to remember your website is a tool that helps you communicate. Pretend it's like a sales rep out there that may be screening prospects, qualifying, pre-qualifying prospects, giving prospects more information so they can make better decisions. That is the role of your website. Great book that Naveed and I talked about that I recommend to all my clients is They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. You may have heard about this book. He's done a great job promoting it, popularizing it, and many people have learned a lot about customer experience, about helping people make decisions before they ever pick up the phone and call you or fill out a form to talk to you about your service. We want to make sure that our websites are doing that work for us. We want that website to be working 24/7 while we're sleeping. So when we wake up in the morning, we have 5 requests to meet in our inbox because your website enables that. So this episode is all about helping you figure that stuff out. Okay, so back to my solopreneur life, the main page where I have freebies. I have the checkbox guide that will walk you through 5 things you can do to improve your website's conversion ability. Okay, so make sure you get that. It's a free download. It's not going to put you in all kind of crazy funnels and all that stuff. It's just something that'll jump you onto my newsletter, which is really good, by the way. You should sign up. And you can get access to that. And it'll really help you kind of like look at your site through a new lens. So that's that. The second thing I want to talk about is, are you reducing the friction in your website? And I think I might have touched on this in an earlier episode in this season. Are you reducing the friction of a prospect learning more about what you do and how they can solve their problem? We all do it because we're all used to using the internet to Google this and Google that and search this and search that and get ideas from Pinterest and find things on Instagram we want to, look into a little bit further. Isn't it funny that this one thing I find that I do, I don't know if you do this too, but I'll be just kind of doing the death scroll on Instagram, usually for entertainment more than anything, because I love like videos about animals and just really cute things. It just makes me happy. Anyway, and it's easy to just kind of like blow an hour just doing the the thumb scroll. But do you ever go to Instagram? This is what I do. I'll go to Instagram and I'll see a product. And before I click shop now or learn more, or whatever the call to action is in Instagram, I will actually open up a little browser window on my phone or whatever I'm on, and I'll look up that product or that brand on Amazon. Because I want to see, first of all, if it's legit. Like, do they have a real website? Is this because you don't know. That's the thing. You don't know all the stuff going on social media. There's so much clickbait, right? So I'll go on and I'll see, because speaking of clickbait, all the ads are basically about, tantalizing you with 10% off, or they always have some kind of thing that incentivizes you to buy their product or at least look at it. And then of course as soon as you click on it, you start getting a million ads of that same type of product. Like for me, it's bras, which cracks me up. I get so many and I'm like, okay, I'm good with bras. Stop sending me this stuff. Or purses. That's another thing. I have always enjoyed really good purses that last forever. I mean, I have a Coach purse I've had for years, and I just love it because it's well made, right? And so I start seeing all these. I'm sorry, I'm going down that rabbit hole so what I want to say is in my research, that's a behavior. So pay attention to your own behaviors because other users who are looking for you to work with are doing similar behaviors. So if they're having to leave one area to go research in another area, that's a problem. That's a point of friction. So as you're building your website and working on your content, Reduce that friction. Think of the journey that your potential client is going through in order to find you or someone that is perfect for solving their problem. So they may find you one way or another, whether it's a referral, whether it's a search, whether it's something you're advertising, and they go to your site. What are they wanting to know? Like, do they want to know pricing? Do they want to know how it works? Do they want to know what are some of the other clients you work with through testimonials or case studies that you may have? Understanding your ideal client's journey, your ideal customer's journey, is going to help you orient the content on your website in a way that addresses those things. The more you can help them reach that point where they're ready to like, wow, this is a good fit. I'm going to lean in, apply to talk to Terry, or fill out this form, or click buy now. Granted, service-based businesses, there's a little bit more trust building that needs to happen there, because much of the work that service-based consultants, trainers, professionals have, it involves some expertise filtering. There's an interview process. There's a little bit of fit discussion that you have in that sales conversation. There's a little bit more involved in the service-based focused because there's so much customization. I know there is for me. Otherwise, I would have a total e-commerce site where I'm buying this thing, buying that thing, but I'm not Etsy.com. I don't think you are either. You want to remove as much friction to getting them to make that first step, and hopefully with you, if they're coming to the conclusion that you're a fit, on your website. As you're doing this, you have to lay out your site in a very specific way. Here are some of the things, in addition to that checkbox guide that I recommended you get. You want to make sure that you're always speaking to one person and you're always speaking to that ideal client. Okay, this is the stuff I do with my clients. I help them with all their messaging. I help them come up with copy that speaks to their target client. So there's resonance there. They're like, wow, they really get my world. They really understand what I'm struggling with. They really have the solution that I'm looking for in a way that I want to work. The elements that I always include in any website or any type of communication where it's kind of like you want to cover as much as possible does follow Donald Miller's StoryBrand model, because it's a very traditional hero's journey way of flowing content and taking people through kind of like a story where you're laying out, okay, here you are, you have this problem. If you keep dealing with this problem, these bad things will happen. Let me introduce you to somebody who's going to help you. That would be you, of course, because you're the expert, you're the guide. And then you walk through, okay, so this is how it works. Step 1, we talk. Step 2, we do an assessment, or you buy this, or whatever. Step 3, we continue to solve your problem and I support you down the road. Whatever it is, you have to provide them a plan. And then you go on to continue that conversation so every one of their questions are answered. You want to make sure that your site includes an FAQ section. What are the actual common questions that do get asked by a lot of your clients? All you have to do is think of past conversations. What are some of the questions that often come up? Obviously, there's always going to be a question about price. This is a sticking point for many solopreneurs, is they're afraid to post their pricing on their website. I challenge you to find ways to somehow include pricing. This is something I really resisted for a long time. But if you go to my site and you look under the KISS marketing map, there's a flat price, because that's what I charge, a flat price for this product. So looking at your work in a way that you can do that, and if you need to provide a range, for example, my flat pricing is for my KISS marketing map. So they know they can even buy it outright online in 1 or 2 payments. That's pretty new for me to actually have that transaction available on my site. And it took me a long time to get it on there, believe me. But it's on there now and I feel really good about it. Plus, it makes it super easy for people to just start working with me. And that is a no-brainer. Once I finally got it on there and I set it up to automatically onboard the person, because the KISS marketing map is a high touch experience with me, because we meet and we talk and we go over things, and I customize this thing so detailed to every client that does one with me. Having it on the site that way reduces a ton of friction for my clients. Now, after we do the KISS marketing map, well, then they're like, oh my God, Terry, I love my KISS marketing map. This is fantastic. I see it all. I mean, this is so laid out, really clear. I know this is going to be fantastic. It's so different than what I was doing before. Now I need a website that actually ports all that into. Now I need a funnel. Now I need a newsletter figured out. Now I want to start a podcast. All of these additional tactical implementations need to be created. Well, that's my second product, which is a Business of You generator. It's where I make things with and for my clients, because those are highly customized, meaning, well, a website might be this, but if it has this, then it's an extra, and then this. By the time you're done, you end up having this very customized package, and it's hard for me to just lay out those, like, well, if you do this, there's this. And I've thought about different ways of having, well, if you add this, then it costs this, if you add that. But if there's enough put together, then the price kind of goes down versus just, and this is true for many things that you buy off the rack, right? But I can still provide a range. So for basic websites, it ranges between this price and this price. Another thing that I do with my pricing, and this is just to give you some ideas, is not to say that this is the best practice or the way you should go with your business, but what I do is I always offer to my clients almost automatically, because my clients are solopreneurs and many of them are just starting out, or they're at that point where they have enough clients where they can afford to make some investments, but they don't necessarily have a huge cash flow at this point. I create a financing model with no interest where they put a small deposit to get the project started. And then once everything is built, like once I'm done their website, then I bill installments, the balance over 6 months, a year, depending on how much it is. And my clients love that. They appreciate the no interest. They appreciate the break, because once they have these things in place, which is why I always wait till it's done and they have the right support and ideas and direction from the KISS marketing map on what they need to do to start bringing in more business, then everything that we've built supports that. And so for them, it's a natural that, of course, they're going to get more business. Of course, they're going to start bringing in clients because they have the infrastructure completed. It works hand in hand, because there are web designers and people that do what I do, and then some that they're like, I want 50% up front, and then when it's done, I'll be the other 50%. Well, in some cases, that could be a large chunk of money that makes it kind of hard for some clients to work through. So if my goal is to empower my clients to be successful with what I do for them, it's a win-win for me, because I know they'll be able to finally pay the rest of their invoice. If I demand all this cash up front for a deposit, 50%, and then hit them hard on the back end for the rest of it, they're going to walk away because they just can't float it. They just don't have the cash flow. And so I always like to provide the option of doing some sort of installment plan, and I always negotiate that with them. Like, I'll have my bottom layer of where I can go as far as a minimum installment, because of course I need to make sure that they're going to make those payments. And so we always negotiate it. If they want to pay $1,000 a month, if they want to pay $2,000 a month, it depends on the overall cost of the project that's been customized to them. I always explain that on my site, that this is the billing practice that I have. People love it because there's not a lot of providers that do it that way. It's so important to me to have a clear, authentic, and very almost personal relationship with my clients. I want them to be successful. I'm not in it just to make the money, right? I want to make sure that they have everything they need to be successful. And that's what I build my business on. And it's a good example for them to see, because then they understand how they could model that, their own business, and how they want to work with clients. Getting back to some tactical things, you want to make sure that if you can, provide a pricing calculator or something that gives your prospects some sort of idea. Because when you get on that sales call and you start talking about budget, if they don't already have an idea of what you charge for what you do as far as solving their problem, then they're going to be poorly prepared for that budget conversation. You want them to come on when you're having the budget conversation, say, I saw on your website that you do installment plans. That would really help me work with you. I saw on your website that you do XYZ as far as how you are structuring your project pricing. So all of these things really matter when it comes to how you're building your pricing out, how you work with your clients. Last thing you want to do is have somebody come in and they don't have the budget. You want to try to pre-qualify them, not on that sales call, on your website. So see how that can save you a lot of time when you're doing your prospecting, when you're putting your communications together. You want to be super clear so people can tell right away, this is who I want to work with. This is something I can afford. I like how they approach this. I want to have a conversation with them. Okay? Removing friction, answering as many research questions that your typical client is going to want to ask you. You want to hit that before they ever get on a call with you, before they ever download your freebie or whatever that is. You want to make sure that they are getting as much information and insight together before they make their decision, because you want them to be successful. You want to make them not have buyer's remorse, which is where they invest with you because you did a really good job selling them or marketing to them and made all these bold promises that maybe you can't deliver on. And then they get in and have the experience and they're like, holy crap, this is not what I wanted, and I've already paid XYZ. I mean, how many times have you bought something, whether it's been off of a clickbait ad or something else, and you all of a sudden realize that this was a waste of money, this was a mistake, this is a product not delivering what I want. And that's a horrible feeling. Believe me, social media just feeds right into that. So no wonder we're so skeptical when we go to invest in our business and we try to make the right decision based on where we're trying to take our business. The next thing that I want you to consider adding to your site is some personal videos where you talk about why you started your business, who you enjoy working with. Now, this is kind of optional. If you're creating an authentic personal brand, you want to be the person in front. So you don't want all your fancy marketing, copy, and all this stuff, and your stock images and all these big bold promises to be in the way of the real experience. If you are a service provider, consultant, trainer, speaker, whatever the role is that you're filling, you're having a high-touch personal experience with your clients. And if you are these types, then you're charging a decent amount, 5 and 6 figures, for the work that you do because you're experienced, you're a professional, you're out there doing your own thing, you're running your own firm, your practice, and you are the deal. Like, you know what you're doing, you know you can solve these problems, you bring years of experience, lots of expertise to the table. You're not just selling widgets, okay? And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that customized, high-touch, authentic brand that is you, because you are the brand, comes through before they ever get on a call with you. You want them to have some sort of idea as far as how you talk. Are you friendly? Are you funny? What's your style? How passionate are you about the work that you do? How passionate are you about solving the problems for your target client? Talk about the experiences you've had with other clients. It's even like an extra bonus is to get your clients to talk about working with you on video. The written testimonials are fine, but when you have a real person on video talking to the camera saying, working with Bob was amazing. Bob, I was so afraid of moving forward with this part of my business. And Bob came in as the CFO and he looked at all my stuff and he said, here's where we're going to save you money. Here's where we need to clean up this. And then this is a strategy we can use moving forward and you'll feel so much better about everything. Of course, if that's a video of a client saying that about you on your website, that is huge, okay? So consider adding video content to your website. It can be part of your FAQs. For example, having a written FAQ is like at the minimum, okay? Like I have them as an accordion. So you click the question and then you click the plus sign and then it gives you the response. That at minimum is perfectly fine. But if you want to go one extra step, you can shoot your own video explaining how it works. Similar to like what I'm doing right now about how I talked about my KISS marketing map and how that works. And so consider adding a little bit of video on there. The next and last thing, there's so many things that we can do to make your website effective. Oh, before I jump into the last thing, make sure that all your social media footprints have a consistent, not only just call to action, but way to reach out to you. Whether it's your website, whether it's a link to your contact form or book time now, whatever it is, make sure it's consistent on all your social media channels. Okay, I just wanted to throw that in there. There's so many things as I'm going through this. I'm like, they need this, they need that. But let me finish with this because this is really important too. Make it easy to connect with you to have that sales conversation. That is probably the most important direct call to action. So on every website I work on, I have two calls to action, two primary calls to action. One is the direct, which is book a call with me now so we can have the sales conversation. You don't come right out and say sales conversation, but it's about let's see if there's a fit. Let me answer your questions. Let's see what your challenges are and how I can help them. That's the conversation pitch that you want to put on your site. Book a call with me now. That's on my site and on probably most of my clients' sites as well. That first, what's called a direct call to action is like, okay, they're ready. They've spent time going through your site. They know what's on there. You've answered a ton of their questions, their basic questions. Now they're ready to have a deeper conversation with you where you discuss their problem. They get to share with you what's going on in their world, which is gold, by the way, because it speaks to how you can develop even more marketing in the future and make your site even better. Okay, so that's really important. That inquiry conversation that you have when you have a sales conversation is so, so important. That is your direct call to action. You want to make it super easy, like going down a slip and slide in the summer. Super easy for them to get with you on a live call, whether it's over the phone or on Zoom or even in person, and they can have that conversation with you because that's the opportunity to see if they're a fit, and if so, give them the opportunity to make a decision about working with you. Yay, that's what we want, right? The secondary call to action, for example, if people are they're an ideal client of yours, but they're not quite ready. Very often they want to do something, but it might not be the right time. Like let's say we're at the end of the year, coming up on the holidays, they're going to be traveling. They definitely are doing this kind of like research. So they know when January comes, they're ready to pull the trigger. They've got the money set aside. They're just kind of dealing with a bunch of stuff. Or they're scheduling some sort of new product launch. Remember that people can be ready to say yes, but they say yes, but not now. Those folks may perhaps be in just still the research phase. This is why it's so important to really understand your customer's journey. Where do they start? What are the problems? How do they go do their research? Where do they identify budget? All these different things that they're doing before they ever even think of going to your site, learning about you, and then pulling the trigger and scheduling time to talk with you. The transition from getting them from research / tire kicking / just kind of like checking out what resources are available to solve their problem to having that conversation with you where they're making a decision about working with you and buying, essentially. That's called a transitional call to action. For me, it's, hey, sign up for my newsletter. Hey, do my solopreneur growth type quiz. Hey, listen to my podcast. All of these things will enable them to lean in a little bit and get to know me. If you're familiar with the marketing funnel, the top level is awareness and then education, right? You want to make sure that you're fulfilling on those two areas, which is where the tire kickers and the researchers live. They don't want to make any hardcore, immediate, fast decision. They want to feel good about any decision. They're spending their money and they want to know that their investment is worthwhile and is something that they definitely will feel good about and will solve their problem. By having a transitional call to action, which is typically something like download my report. Here's a quick mini video course on how you can try to solve your problem before we need to talk and figure it out together. There's a lot of ways which are, I call them gap closers. Now that gap could be an information gap. It could be understanding more clearly about what you do and your approach. It could be something where they just need a little bit more education to be prepared to work with you. They need a primer, they need a little bit more education or a little more hand-holding, or they're not quite there from a budget standpoint. These are all gap closers. These are all great transitional calls to action. You and I both know them as marketing lead generators, those types of things. And there's a lot of different things that you can do. The best ones are going to be the ones that fit into your customer journey. The more you know and understand your customer, their thinking, their mindset, their practices, how urgent they want to fix their problem, are they acquainted with some of the risks associated with either hiring you or not fixing their problem. These are all elements that really impact their ability to come into that conversation with you about working with you that can make that so much more efficient. You want somebody coming in who's educated. You don't want somebody who's coming in who's like, so how do you work again? You don't want them asking those very rudimentary questions that you could be answering on your website. Make sure that you go back and look at your website and ask yourself, if I was my ideal client and I had these 5 questions, does my website answer those questions for me, for my target prospect? Is their ability to feel good about booking time to talk to me something that I can address on my site? This whole episode, as I conclude, is making sure that you have an easy way for them to take the next step. Direct call to action is booking time to talk with you, whether it's in person, on the phone, or on a Zoom. The indirect or transitional call to action, and these are all part of Donald Miller's StoryBrand framework, is for them to download something that's going to help them be more ready to have that direct conversation with you. Go through and take a fresh look at your website. Are you dealing with these things? Are you reducing friction? Are you helping them make buying decisions? Are you giving them some sort of idea as far as what it costs, how long it takes, what are the steps? How does all this work? Many of us service professionals have very unique product offerings. We have very unique ways of working with our clients. If it's not the straightforward, hire a plumber to fix a broken pipe or a leak, then we need to help them understand how we work, what the right process is, and all that goes with that. Get in action, look at your website, and the next episode, I'm going to tell you even something more that's going to help you prepare for your sales conversation. Well, I know you're disappointed, but that's it for this episode. Listen, the great news is there's another one coming, so stay tuned. Anyway, I just want to make sure that you do the prompt. If this episode had a prompt, and you get that homework done because you're going to be a better solopreneur. How's that for a maternal finger shaking at you? Hey, listen, thanks so much for being here, for giving me time of your day, and, for taking it on. So if you want to learn more and stay connected with me, just head on over to mysolopreneurlife.com. Thanks a bunch. See you soon. That was pretty good. I think I'll keep that one.